Hey everybody, how are you? It's Dirk, and I'm here. I decided to just do a video. It was a tough day. I broke every capillary in my face, and it was rough. It was really rough. You guys all knew and loved her. She was a star on the show. She was always on the desk and saying hi, everybody. I got so many amazing mails, emails, and well wishes and things for her. And I didn't bring tissues in here. Well, I did actually. And so I'll just give you a brief lowdown on what happened. So you all know what happened a couple of weeks ago. She had wobbly back legs, and we were trying to figure out what it was. And so we took her to the Animal Medical Center in Manhattan, which is like the biggest megalopolis hospital in the world, and it's like a million doctors, and it's supposed to be the best. They did save her life in 2013 when she. I'm not disparaging them. I'm really not. I'm just. We couldn't get to the root of this, but they saved her life when she caught a poisoned mouse and she got secondary poisoning. So this time they ran a bunch of tests and she had like really low red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, like it was crazy. And first thing that came to my mind was the same thing, that she had thrombocytopenia, which she had, and severe anemia, which she had before. And this time around they were like, oh, not so open to the idea of that happening, because it's so rare that it happens, but it happened to her once before. And so they were saying we should do a bone marrow aspiration to see if she had cancer of the bone marrow. And I was like, well, in November, because I take her to the doctor all the time. I'm a helicopter dad. I took her and she had blood work done, and blood work was perfect in November. It was perfect in January. They just had some elevated liver enzymes, which we retested, and everything was golden. And then she did something really weird. We were watching TV late at night. She always comes out. She goes to bed after she eats, and she comes out around 10 o'clock. Blah, 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 blah. And this time she had something in her mouth, and we freaked because we had seen a mouse in the house, and we know she's a mouser. So we went to her, and it turns out it was a toy, which is weird because she doesn't walk around with toys in her mouth. She never did. So we were like, oh, that's weird. Then the very next night she did the same thing, but this time she had a dead mouse in her mouth. She found a mouse and she killed it. So I told them all that. And you guys all know I have these horrific new landlords, and they do a lot of crazy shit. And I saw a truck outside about a month ago, the extermination truck. And I don't speak to these people. They're not allowed legally to speak to me. And I've reached out to my other neighbor, because there's only one other renter left in the building, because they took over the whole building. And asked them if she knew about an extermination. She said she wasn't aware. But right after that, Laverne got sick, and she had caught a mouse. And that's what I suspect happened. But they treated her. They gave her, she had a blood transfusion and electrolytes and potassium and all the stuff that she needed, and she came home, and she was doing really well for about 3 weeks, pretty well. I went back twice, once because I thought she had a fast heartbeat, which by the time she got there, it was okay. And then when we got back about a week later, the wobbly leg thing started happening again. So I now know that that's usually potassium. So I was like, oh, I'm not giving her potassium, because she was on a steroid, prednisolone. She was on a steroid. She was on that. She was on a bunch of stuff, but and she needed IV fluids, subcutaneous fluids, which I was getting for her. And I learned how to do it. I actually did it myself yesterday, and I did a pretty good job, if I do say so myself. Because so let's fast forward. So she was doing great when she came. We went to the hospital on Thursday night, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they told me that her red blood cell count was in the shitter again. So I had three choices. The choices were hospitalization, blood transfusion, monitoring, all the stuff that they do, like they did a couple of weeks before. Now that was like $5,000. So I said, "What's the second choice?" They said, "Well, we could give her a blood transfusion and admit her for the day, and then around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, you can come get her, and then we'll take it from there." And then the third choice was humane euthanasia. Now, this doctor, I had never seen this woman before. She was, I don't know, for lack of a better word, she was like kind of spectrumy. She kind of had like a hard time speaking to a person normally. So I said, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "Yeah, well, it's fine." She goes, "Basically, I just give them a shot and they go to sleep, and then I give them a shot and it just stops their heart, just matter of factly like that." And I was a little horrified by that. And I went, "Well, that must be very hard to do." And she goes, "I love medicine." So I walked out of the room. I had chosen the second choice, the day admittance, get her a blood transfusion. Let's take it from there. I'm outside in the waiting room, and she comes flying outside, and she goes, "Oh, you were denied by the blood bank." I went, "What do you mean I was denied by the blood bank?" She said, "Well, they said that she has to be admitted for a couple of days because they want to do the blood transfusion, monitor her, and all that stuff." I said, "But that's another 5-6 grand." And I said, "Am I being blackmailed to pay that amount of money?" And I said, "Listen, if I had infinite amounts of money, I'd be sure to do it. I don't give a fuck." And but like this has been insanely expensive, and it's like there's only X amount of money, and and so she said, "Well, there's the third option." And I said, "You know what? How about you go get the blood bank people, have them come out and talk to me, and then we'll straighten this out." And she went like that. And as she turned around, I saw her snippy. I said, "As a matter of fact, please don't do that, because I don't want to become the person that I'm not, and I'm about to do that." 5 minutes later, a doctor comes out who had treated her 3 weeks prior, and he sat me down and he said, "Well, we don't know what this is. It's a disease of unknown origin. It's acute. It could be cancer. It could be secondary rodenticide. It could be a lot of things." He says, "But let me ask you a question. What's better for her and what's better for you? If we give her all the fluids that she needs without the blood and send her home, she'll be at home with you, and maybe this blood will benefit a younger cat with a better prognosis." And I actually had said to the mean doctor, and she was kind of mean. She actually did come out later and apologize to me, because I'm sure somebody had a talking to her, because you don't do that to people who are distraught. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about what I said before." Kind of just like that. And I was like, "Oh, whatever. It's okay. I'm taking her home." She brought Laverne out, and Laverne looked good. She looked really good. And she got fluids and potassium and all that stuff. IV, which really, once you get, you think like a drug, take a pill is great. All that stuff is great. You get drugs via IV, you're like happy, peppy, bursting with love and ready to go. And so she came home, and the first thing she did was she came out of the carrier and she jumped up on the counter on her box. You guys all know about the box. She was eating tuna like a crazy woman. She was so happy to be home. She hates going to the hospital. And she had a great night. We hung out, had some wine, and hung out with her, and she looked great. And she didn't get the blood this time, And but I was like, okay, so maybe I just have to give her the fluids and the potassium and make sure that's all good. They also told me in the hospital that her potassium levels were excellent and that whatever I'd been doing was phenomenal. I was like, I doubted it, because she hated potassium. It's like a powder. You mix it with her food. And she's like, "This is crap. I don't like this." So that was Thursday night. And then Friday, then Saturday, we woke up, and like I fell asleep like 3 o'clock in the morning with her, and she was in bed with me, and she was all cozy. She got up in the morning. She nudged me, and very much like on the picture there where I'm laying in bed and she's on my back. She slept on my back or between my legs on the blanket. It's like a hammock, and she loves that. And she was great, and she trotted off. Legs look good. Trotted off, jumped from 3 steps up, big steps up to get to the counter. Jumped on her box. I gave her tuna. She had a great tuna day. And then I went to the store, and I'm a vegetarian, so I've never been into vegetarian my whole life. Like, I don't know how to buy meat or fish or anything. So I went to the fancy market in my neighborhood, and I said, "Give me like the best salmon you have." So they gave me this wild Atlantic salmon, and she loved it. I just kind of parboiled it, or whatever you'd call that, whatever the poached, and she really liked it. And she'd never had that before, and I guess it was a little oily because I saw her going like that, but she liked it a lot, and so that was really good. So we had breakfast, and I made eggs, and she was on the counter smacking me like, "Ooh, I want that," but she can't because she's allergic to chicken. So I was like, "No, I'll give you the salmon." She had the salmon. So then we all decided to take a nap, and she goes to bed with me, and we're having a nap. And then I woke up about an hour later, and she looked a little crappy, and I didn't know what it was. And she just started to just decline very, very rapidly Saturday. She was great in the morning, and then all of a sudden she just tanked. She stopped responding, to like petting and kisses and stuff. She started like just zoning out, like her eyes were darting, and she just got weird. And then she peed on the bed, and she doesn't do that. And then, defecated a little bit where she was, but she got up and waddled into the bathroom where she'd been licking the bathtub, and she licked the bathtub, and then she went in the litter box and she peed. And I was like, "Oh my God, there's some hope here somewhere," because she was able to get in there. And then she fell, and I picked her up, and I cleaned her up, and I put her on the couch, where we were all sitting, and we hung out with her all late afternoon, evening. And I went over to my vet's office. I have a new vet that I like. They just moved in a couple of months ago, and so far I've been there 5 times, and they all like her, and I like them. They're all women. They're beautiful ladies that care, and it's just so nice. Anyway, I asked her, "What am I doing this for her? Or am I doing this for me? What am I doing? What are we doing when we have, if a human being, because I know I'd want it for myself. I wanted to see what the checklist would be for what's living and what's living in agony." So I did the checklist, and the checklist was she living. It wasn't agony because it looked good. But within like 3 hours, all of the check marks that were on this side went to that side. She hid. She took off, and I couldn't find her. I found her under one of the bureaus. She stopped looking at us. She stopped interacting with us, and she stopped eating, and she stopped drinking, and she stopped all of that stuff. We had her throughout the night on the couch, and we're just consoling her, because there's nothing. Where am I going to go? I'm not going to the animal medical center to do all that shit all over again. So, what did I do? We just watched her and tried to give her food and tried to give her water. She didn't want anything. And then at some point, she just got up real quick, and she jumped off the couch and threw up and then collapsed. And that's when we knew it was done. So I sent the vet an email that I think it's time. So at 8 o'clock this morning, Paul and I went up to, I'm going to say who they are, the Bond Vet. They're a chain, believe it or not, but they're a very, I can't say enough about Dr. McGuire and Dr. Krieger and Siobhan and the girls there. They were so compassionate and caring. They treated her so well, with dignity. And we brought her in there, and they let us spend some time with her. And then, I'm sure you guys know how this thing goes because that mean doctor at AMC told us exactly. I said, like, you don't know that. So Dr. McGuire, who is the director of Bonvet, she was so magical and amazing, such a sweet lady. And she had never met Laverne. The other doctors, Dr. Krieger had met her, and I love them. Kathleen Krieger and Kelly McGuire. These are two testaments to amazing veterinary sciences. They're beautiful, compassionate people who care deeply. So we went in there, and so they gave us time to spend with her, and they explained the procedure, and they wrapped her up in a beautiful bed, and she looked great, and she just looked so tired, and her eyes were darting, and she could see we were there, but there wasn't so much going on. And they gave her the sedative, let us say our goodbyes, and then they give her the other shot. And then this is the first time I've had so many pets in my life. I've never put one down. I've never done it. And the last time we had a cat named Murray, and he was Laverne's housemate for about 4 years, and he was probably 15. They didn't. He didn't like her. She liked him. He was just like, oh God, I was the alpha, because he had another cat named Glaucus who was the chief. And he never he was always subservient to that guy. So he became the alpha, and then she moved in, and she's like, this queen. So, but we've had her by herself for 11 years. She's the queen of the house. And then 60 seconds later, after they give them that shot, it's over. It's over. And yeah, so grief, man. It's like, and I've said this before, like my parents died. My dad was 94. My mom was 87. And those are the biggest losses, other than, the big ones, right? Other than partner, your husband, your wife, whatever. But there's something about when you love an animal so dearly because you can't verbally communicate with them. I knew what my dad was going through. I knew what my mom was going through. My dad was 94. He won the fucking lottery. I mean, wow, that's a life. My mom, she didn't have her marbles for the last 3 years due to some oxygen deprivation she got in the hospital. And it wasn't dementia or Alzheimer's. She had brain damage. They fucked her up. That's a whole other story. Thankfully, my older brother handles that. I don't. But when you love a pet, you love them unconditionally. They love you unconditionally, and there's like a thing, that you have unspoken communication, and they can't tell you, "Daddy, I don't feel good," or they can't say, I want to go. Like when Paul's aunt Gloria was dying, she was 90. She kept telling everybody, "Please let me go. Please let me go." And we knew she wanted to go, but Laverne couldn't say that. They know cats. Like I was talking to Sheen yesterday. We had a great chat. He's got a different philosophy on how pets should be kept or not kept. He believes in the wild, and God bless him, because I got a lovely message from Jer, his mom, who's a fucking angel. I mean, one of the most amazing women I have ever met in my life. She's a mother of 5, a strong, incredible woman with an incredible capacity for love. And they used to take care of a lot of cats, but their cats in Ireland were, in and out. They would go do your thing, come back for the food and the shelter when you need it. Over here we tend to coddle, trap, encompass. Like, you have a cat in your house. They're like domesticated wild tigers. And but they aren't. She had no interest in that. She liked to catch the mice, and she liked to look at the birds through the window, but she loved her cozy spots and her cozy beds and all of the things. I go and get her like the fanciest bed or the fanciest toy or whatever, and she'd just go on the box. She liked the boxes, And cat, you can't persuade them to like something because it's better or expensive or fancy or anything like that. Cats will just find a shoe or your dirty laundry because it smells like you and they like it and they feel safe. Cats are primal and instinctual. They like things that feel safe to them. That's why they go disappear when they're sick, because they don't want they don't want to be prey. They don't want anybody to come and get them, you know. And so yeah, so I got home at 9:30 this morning and started cleaning the fucking house and assembling all of her stuff, because there's just so many of her things here. So many of her things here. It's all hers, I have my little room with my shit in it, and then the rest of the house is like Laverne stuff, beds and boxes and toys and a water fountain. I'm gonna ship that to my friend Mimi. You guys all know her. I just got Laverne. She just started using the water fountain. When she started feeling shitty, she liked the cold running water that was coming out. She saw it and she would smack it, and she started to drink it. So finally she was doing that, which was amazing. Yeah. So now I'm just doing that and trying to figure out a way to cope with life after Laverne. I've had her for 14 years. In 2009, we had a cat named Murray. We had a cat named Glaucus, and I had my dog Dinga, and we had a cat named Clara, and I had a cat named Bruce in the house, who was a feral cat, and he lived in my studio. He lived in a box in the studio, and he came out occasionally and sat on the desk and looked at me, but would never let me touch him. He was so feral. But the reason I had to take him was because they were my Long Island City, where I live in New York. I hate the word gentrified, because it wasn't gentrified. It was destroyed. It was this beautiful little Italian Irish community, mafia, and all these hookers down the way, but it was safe and everybody knew everybody, and it was wonderful. All this money came in, rezoning, and they started building high rises everywhere. So much that the sun is now blocked out. You cannot see the Manhattan skyline from Long Island City anymore. You can't when the sun or the moon. There's 70-story buildings now. And so there was this construction site where all these kittens were, and me and my neighbor Rose went and got them all, but we couldn't get this one guy named Bruce. Finally, we got him. I took him home because no one would take him because he was too feral. So he lived here and he made it to 18. I had him for 18 years. And so he was here for a short time while Laverne was here. Actually, for a while, Laverne didn't have privileges to the studio because he was in here and I didn't know how they were going to react. But Murray was here, and so she was here for 14 years. So we were 2009, walking down the street, and my neighbors Pat and Bubba, that's right, his name's Bubba, and they used to feed all these stray cats in the neighborhood, and they were like feral cats. But all of a sudden, this little white and gray spotted kitten shows up, and she's kind of like trying to get into the food, and they won't let her in, and all this stuff. And I saw her, and I was like, well, that doesn't fit into this pack. That's weird. And I went upstairs, and I said to Paul, I said, you didn't by any chance see that little white and gray cat outside? She's like, a kitten. And he goes, I saw her. I said, well, he goes, we should grab her. I said, we should. So I went downstairs with a box and grabbed her, and I took her. And I thought she'd put up a fight, and she put up no fight at all. She's like, okay, what is this, a box? Okay, let me get in this box. She got in the box, took her upstairs, let her out. I had to obviously delouse her first to make sure she didn't have fleas or diseases or whatever. But I did let her out of the box for a couple of minutes, and she's looked around. She's like, oh, there's a couch, there's a bowl. Okay, this place looks good. And then she went over to the patio door where Murray had his bed, and she went to sleep in it. And so the next morning I took her to the hospital, I forget where. I think it was the Humane Society, and I got her shots, and I got all her stuff. She did have fleas. We got rid of them. And so then they said, well, you're going to have her fixed pretty soon because, she's going to go into heat. I was like, okay. So I don't know, 3 weeks, a month later, she goes into heat, which I don't know if you guys have ever had a female cat, but it's crazy. They do this kind of seduction dance, and she was doing it to Murray, who was fixed since he was a little boy. And he was like, get away from me, you heathen woman, you harlot. He was so horrified by it. So I had already made an appointment to have her fixed, so I had to cancel it because you can't fix a cat in heat because they'll bleed out. So they said, okay, 2 weeks from now. So I made another appointment. And then 2 weeks later, she goes into heat again. We had to miss the appointment. Finally, I got her fixed. And then she just moved in. She was happy to live here. She like acted as if this was always her home. And she kind of started to boss Murray around. And he was a little annoyed by her because he thought, I'm the boss. Wait a minute. Paul went out and got us a bottle of the De Brain Margot because Dirk needs a drink. Anybody having a drink? It's between 90 and 73 people in here. It keeps fluctuating. I just want to say hello to everybody that's in the room and thank you so much. And I wasn't going to do this, but I didn't know what else to do. And I got so many emails and things from you guys. So I just figured, you guys you see my little tribute wall. And I'll share a couple of other things with you about her. And, I'm not going to talk about watches or guitars. I'm going to talk about the love and grief and how much we I'm going to get in trouble for that. How much love we have to give as people and when we get it back and the love we get in return is just outrageous. The love you get from an animal when you treat them well and you give them maximum amounts of love, what they give you back is unequaled. It's unequaled. And, I wasn't sad about my parents. I was sad, but I was, and I know this is kind of a phenomenon. I was kind of glad for them that they had such long lives and they accomplished so much, my mom was a librarian at St. John's University, and she worked there for like 30 years. My dad was with American Airlines for 42 years, and he was like, my father was the smartest, sharpest tack, the funniest guy in the room, and just a great overall guy. And when my mom died, I think he just wanted to go too. And we're able to hear this. We're able to communicate this. We're able to discern and know what they want. But with the pets, we don't know what they need and what they want. We can just only assume, and we always put so much pressure on ourselves to make decisions that might not be the best for the pet, but for us. And I just I wanted to make sure I wasn't being selfish. Because I want her. I want her. I want her now. She's not in my house now. She's here, actually. She's here. She's on ice because, the vet can take them and cremate them and stuff. But we go to a place out in West Hampton, Long Island. It's Bidewee, and it's a pet cemetery, and they have a crematorium where you can actually see the pet, see the guy pick up the pet, see the guy put him in the crematorium, and then close the door and hit go, and then come back an hour later. So you're actually getting your pet, and it's not like some potter's grave, because I'll tell you a quick story. 20 years ago, John from my band, he had a couple of Great Danes that he used to bring to the Long Island Pet Cemetery when they died, and they had plots for them. They didn't cremate them. They had plots with a headstone and all this stuff. Well, the Long Island Pet Cemetery, turns out somebody whistle blew on them, and they were just taking all the animals and putting them in unmarked hole in the ground and covering it up. And all those plots and all the cremations were all fraud. So they were busted for that, and they all wound up going to prison, which they deserved, to rot in hell. And I hope they get put in unmarked graves too. But they preyed on all these sad pet owners who spent thousands and thousands, because burying your pet is very expensive. To have a plot and a headstone, it's like a person. It's incredibly expensive. But when people are grieving, it's easy to prey on them. I mean, if you're the worst type of scumbag, the worst kind of person in the world, you will do that. I mean, because how could anybody prey upon somebody who's just riddled with grief? And I'm sure that funeral homes do that too, because it's a business. They have to have some modicum of partiality and, try to be compassionate in a professional way, but they still do the actual job where they still actually embalm and cremate and lay out. They still do the actual job. It's not like, they're putting a wax figurine of your loved one there, which is what these people did. And I hope they rot in hell. So we go out to West Hampton because we know that, like, here's our pet, and they make a little kind of chapel for you, and you say goodbye to their form, their life form, and then the gentleman or the lady will take them and walk through the door and into the crematorium, and you watch on TV, on a video, as they take it and put it in there, and then you go fuck off for 2 hours or whatever it takes, and come back, and you get the urn of your beloved. So that's what happened on Long Island. That's why we go all the way out to Long Island. We can't go till Tuesday because, as you guys all know, we have an elderly situation here. Paul's mother's got 50 appointments tomorrow, so he can't go. So we're going to go Tuesday morning, take a drive out there and take care of Laverne so she can come back home, and I'll pick out a new urn for her, so she'll be forever with me. And then I'll have to figure out so much of my life. The last 14 years was around her care. I didn't like to leave her alone because she was a chronic regurgitator, so she had to eat every couple of hours so she wouldn't throw up her food. That was a problem. She had irritable bowel disease. That happened later in life, but turns out Laverne was allergic to chicken, and we didn't know that. And that fancy hospital in the city, it took them 13 years to tell me, I think your cat's allergic to chicken. Had that happened, I would have stopped the chicken immediately. I just didn't know. Cats love chicken. All of cat food, most cat food is chicken. So she's been on this food called Smalls because she had lost a lot of weight. She used to be, I have a video, I'll show it to you guys. Laverne used to be like super fat. It was like, I've titled the video, Laverne before Ozempic. She was like 13, 14, 15 pounds. And like the doctor told us to put her on a diet. So we got the special food, which was chicken. And she lost a ton of weight. And she never really recovered a healthy weight after that. She would have been great if she was 8 pounds, but she was like 6 pounds, sometimes 5.5 pounds. It was a constant struggle to get her weight to a desirable place. And where I lost my train of thought. So she's on this food called Smalls, and fucking wouldn't you know it, yesterday the brand new shipment of it arrived, and it comes in a cryogenic freeze pack, like this big giant box. It's got dry ice in it, and I put it in the refrigerator freezer, and I was like, well, I'll probably be giving this away because she's just eating tuna and salmon. And now I knew this morning I had to make decisions on where and who to donate that to. Things to donate, because you want the reminders, but then there's certain things that you'll turn the corner and see something that she used or she loved, and that's what grief does do. It just attacks you from behind. You think you're having a pretty decent day, and you're not. You're having a shitty day, and it just, this is day one. It happened this morning. It happened this morning. So let's see who's in the room. I just want to thank all of you for showing up for today. It's great. You got Jem, Ray, Rufus, super chat. Thank you very much. Al Benedetti, CW Watch Enthusiast, Selena, hi darling. Jeff Ayers, Dean, thank you. Nick Sisto, Daniel Gutierrez, Conair, HST, Nathaniel, thank you very much. Shane, hi Shane. John Anthony McClure, Andrew. Blackbird SP, Topster, he's here. No politics today. You want some wine? He doesn't want to be on the screen. I'm just going to pour Paul a glass of wine. Hold on, I want to show everybody what we're drinking out of our American Airlines first class glasses, because courtesy of Jim Kennedy. I don't have any stemware anymore because it all broke, and I've gotten into those. Topster's here. Steve C's here. Melly C. Hey, Andy. Colin Buzzard. Hey, Claude Talks. Thank you. Mark from Brooklyn. Dean. James Bastian. Oh, Michaela. Hi, honey. How are you? Jan Kashinian. David Fitzsimmons. Caloy. Chris Upper East Side. Carlos Ramirez. Ray. I don't know what I'd do without you guys right now. The letters, you guys didn't know what was going on, but it didn't look good, and you guys kind of all knew. I got so many Gmails from the gang, and you all said such good stuff, and it was like, like Andrew says, she was with her family. She knew she was loved. Yeah. I mean, saying goodbye is so hard. You know it's coming. It's just so hard. And now with this way, like they told you have about 30 to 60 seconds after that shot. She went. The doctor listens to her heartbeat and says she's gone. And she was gone. Their beautiful green eyes, those big, amazing eyes she had, so vivid and expressive. She was such a pain in the ass. Such a beautiful, beautiful creature. Carlos, Andy, Marty Mannion, Hudson Harvey, Versace Boy, Rich Reviews. Thank you. Mark Gerard, Head Groundsman, Fergus John, Andy, Nicholas Capone, Steve Moreno, Guy Hayden, Luis Harnett, Jack Daw, Alberta Stillman. Wow, some names here I never even saw before. I guess you guys watched the show, and you thank you for saying what you're saying. Because, I watch shows too, and I don't say shit. And it's nice to know that people are watching. Because everybody loved her that knew her. She brought so much joy to my life, and you can see it because I talked about her incessantly. She's in the intro, and she's going to remain there. And, she was always up on the desk, and everybody knew when it was like the hour was up or the 2 hours were up. She always knew when the show was ending, which was amazing. Alan Gilbert, Tim Wright. Hey, Tim Wright. Hi, Timmy. Gary Brawley, Bert Dundee, Neve O'Malley. That's Sheen's sister. Hi, Neve. Thank you. You know about cats. You guys grew up with cats. Mark says she's beyond illness now. She is. And I hate that fucking Rainbow Bridge shit, and I know I'm going to get clobbered with it. I just like that the hallmark sensation is just drives me bananas. But like when you're in the moment, you appreciate the fucking Rainbow Bridge. When somebody says she's crossing the Rainbow Bridge, it's where I want to go. I don't want to be where the people are. I want to be where the pets are, the cats are, the dogs. A couple of people. A couple. Scotty H is here. Hi. Angelo. Thanks. Yeah, I want to be where the fucking tell me where that Rainbow Bridge is. I don't know. Rob Richard Petry's here. Hi. Yeah, I want to be where that is. There's not enough wine in the world right now. This is very nice. This is the second wine of let me put it here so you can see it. Of Brain Cantonac, which is a second growth board. Now, this is like their second wine. So this is like the $40 version, but it tastes fucking amazing. And it's going to do the job because I just need to medicate a little bit. It was funny. I said to Paul, I said, I'm in a band, so I've got fucking makeup in my house. And I'm like, when I play, it's like, I should probably put makeup on every fucking capillary. I broke every capillary in my fucking face. Destroyed. I was like, I should just put makeup on. And then I was like, I'm just going to cry it off. And then everybody's going to see I was wearing makeup. And then I'm going to look like a super fag. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So the whole grief thing is like, I know it's something that you have to learn to live with. And when I lost my dog, I didn't think I would survive it at all because she was 17 and she was She never met Laverne. Laverne came the year after. Dinga was my dog, and she died in 2008. And then Laverne came around in 2009. And in a small way, and Paul even said it earlier, that maybe, and my sister Carrie said, maybe Dinga's soul found its way into this cat, and this cat found its way to us, and it was like the reincarnation, because the love. I didn't think I'd ever love anybody as much as Dinga, the dog, and I did. And not that I didn't love the boy cats, I did, but there's something very special about the girls. You know, I don't know if that's just like some kind of weird sexist gay man shit. I don't know what the fuck it is, but the girls are so special to me. You just want to protect them, and the boys are hard as nails and all that stuff, but the girls, you want to pamper them and treat them like ladies, and give them dignity and all the things you wish on a daughter or a mother or a sister. And the girls, the two great girls I had in my life were Dinga and Laverne, and yeah, there she is, the lady, Geraldine O'Malley. She's an amazing woman. She sent me a message last night, but I was too fucked up to answer it. No regrets. Laverne knew she was loved. Sending you a big hug. Right back at you, Jerry. You're one of the great ones in this world. Amazing mom, woman. Amazing, incredible stuff. So grateful to know you. And the O'Malley clan have just been nothing but amazing to me. So the grieving process is just like what it is. You're just trying to figure out a way to Irish people are pretty resilient. We go to funerals, we drink, and we tell jokes. But that's for people. Because, all right, Maliki was right. He was on the drink, and it was his time to go. Right. Did you know he had a wooden leg? And, did you know that he used to love to flirt around with the black ladies? Or something funny just to cause or start a rumor, or create something in the wake. Irish wakes, if you're not Irish, or if you've never been to an Irish wake, they're more a celebration of life, which is what I was trying to do here, but I think I'm doing a very good job. I am drinking though, but my little tiny 8-week-old kitten that I found on the street 14 years ago gave me more joy and love and problems than any person could possibly. People are easy. That's why I always think, when people are married for a really long time and they get divorced after 30 years, I'm like, that's your fault. If you couldn't make that work after 30 years, what's the point of that? What are you going to go find a new girlfriend or a boyfriend? That all just so stupid. People need to, we have the luxury of communication. We have the luxury of being able to iron out the differences and the things and our needs and our wants and our problems and how to solve them, and okay, so if it's insurmountable, it's insurmountable, but it shouldn't be. Then you should have broken up after 5 years. It shouldn't take you 30 years. But with a pet, when you love an animal, it's just love, 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 love. And then I'm sick. And then, oh shit, what do you do with that? How do you make the decisions that are right? How do you make the decisions that are for them and not for you? That's my big problem, because I'm so love selfish. I just want her in my life. I just wanted to figure out every Band-Aid, every drug, everything I could possibly think of. And I have a suspicion, and I'm not going to say it online, but I said it earlier, right? I think she got, this kid came out of nowhere. I mean, she had other issues, like she had irritable bowel disease. Okay, so big deal. So do a million people. A million people have that. But this red blood cell thing just kind of tanked her, and it just came out of nowhere. And I think I know exactly where it came from. I think that, you know, I've had mice in my apartment. I've had roaches in my apartment from all the construction that they do, and they do all this terrible stuff. And they pay no price. They just get away with everything. I think she caught that mouse, or she caught a mouse that I wasn't aware of, and this just started this snowball effect in a 14-year-old cat, where her body wasn't able to recover, because she could have recovered from thrombocytopenia, but she probably would have had to have like 4 or 5 blood transfusions before it would take, because an older cat doesn't produce as much. When you're older, your red blood cell production is lower. You know, it's harder to mend things. It's harder to fix things. It's harder to do everything. It's harder to get up. It's harder to eat spicy food. It's harder to drink. You know, you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do anything because, you know, it might kill you. But, you know, when you're a person, fuck it. If you've had a decent life, drink it, smoke it, and fuck it. Why not? You know, if you've got like a terminal illness, at least you know the variables. I never got the variables. We never knew what she had. We never knew. We never knew what she had. They never could come up with the reason for what happened to her. But it was fast. Too fast. So, yeah, that's the story with her. How are you guys all doing in the room? Are you drinking? Who's drinking in the room? Is anybody having a drink? Like I told you what I'm having. I'm having this. It's the Lurton, the Henri Lurton, Margot Debran. What are you guys all drinking? Thank you, Jackie. Sending big hugs. Hey, man, there's a couple of stories in here, too. Rich Review says, a few years back, I had 2 Burmans. Now, as said above, 2 rag dolls. Oh, is that what they're called? And had to say goodbye to them. We had them cremated, have my ashes in their house. Yeah. Jack Doss says, as cats go, Dirk Laverne is exceptionally photogenic. Wonderful markings forever immortalized on this show. Yeah. You know, it's funny because my neighbor whose house I got her in front of, she's like, you like that little cat? It's kind of ugly. I was like, are you kidding? That cat's so cute. What are you talking about? Because she had the you know, her blaze went over her nose and extended into her cheek a little bit. And it's just as she grew into it, because it did look kind of funny when she was a cat. It definitely looked a little bit funny. Selena, how are you? She says, it's early in California. Well, you got wine there. Well, have a glass of something nice and raise a toast. Please do. Here's a toast to all of you bastards for being the kindest, nicest community. And I'm so grateful that this happened. That Oisin and Carolyn and Timmy and all these people said, Dirk, you should do a show every day. And it quickly morphed into this incredible community of people who I now know and can count as friends, who have shown so much concern for not only for me and Paul, but for Laverne and for what we've been going through. I mean, like, I had a shitty year. You guys, you know, the gang from Machines Channel, everybody got me a Milgauss because I got fired. My parents died. Like, you know, where are the fucking locusts? You know. And here's a funny story. I had a dream last night about the job where I got fired, and it's like I don't remember my dreams. That must make me a sociopath. I had a dream that I went in there with some friends, and one of them was Colin Farrell. I don't know why that is. And the guy wouldn't refuse to seat me. And we didn't have any acrimony of any kind. This new manager came in and they fired me. And because probably I was, you know, I didn't like a lot of his ideas. That's probably what it was. That, or I was, because he says, how old are you? And I told him, he's like, wow. And then they hired some, you know, non-binary, hip, the word was cis female, living life as male. And she quit 2 days later. She texted me, she's like, fuck that. She goes, first of all, I didn't know I was replacing you too, and fuck that. Those people are crazy. So I had a dream. I went in there and they refused. And then Colin Farrell's like, don't you know, man, who I am? I'm a big Hollywood star and I'm from Ireland. And they're like, well, we'll seat you, but not him, because he was let go and he's not allowed to eat here. This was the weirdest dream I ever had. And I woke up going, really? That's fucking crazy. You know? But so yeah, let me get this video up. I had I did it in my iCloud. Let's see if it still lets me in there. Hopefully you'll get sound because they do this cute thing. And that would be great. I think you might enjoy it. It would let me right in there. I'll just share my screen. And it's just like a cute little thing of the lady. By the way, I called her Lorelei most of the time. I didn't call her Laverne that much. I referred to her as Laverne, but I always called her Lorelei or Lady. I never really. It's funny how you call everybody by nicknames. So let me. I didn't make this music just. Well, by the way, hold on. There we go. Share screen. A little pictorial of the lady in her various incarnations. Just something fun. That was the last. I had those on my. I didn't assemble that. I just put it in. I just went to my iCloud feed to see what was in there. Tobster trying to start a fight with everybody. Non-binary mental illness. That's a whole other show, dude. Everything's mental illness now. That's what everybody blames everything on mental illness. You know what I blame everything on? People being assholes or being bad people. So in New York, and not to stray too far from the Laverne scenario, but there was a subway shooting here in New York City, and we have this inept moron of a governor named Kathy Hochul, and she's an idiot. And she deployed the National Guard into our subways because, our inept mayor can't handle anything either. New York City needs a Republican mayor. They don't need a Democratic mayor because there's just way too much. Once a Democratic mayor goes, he kowtows to all the criminals and shit. Not saying that, I'm a registered Democrat, just so you know. But what happens is it's a free for all. And it's been a free for all. It's ever since Mike Bloomberg left. So we have the National Guard, and then these people are in Brooklyn, and this guy pulls out a gun, and he starts beating the shit out of some guy and harassing him. And he pulls out the gun. The guy wrestles the gun away from the guy and shoots him. And then he was arrested. They should make a statue, a monument to this hero who took the gun out of this assailant's hand, and they should shoot him. They should shoot the fucking guy in fucking public in the middle of the square, because this guy, there was like 40 people in this subway car, all terrified. And this hero grabbed this gun and shot this guy. Then they said, oh, it's mental illness. Fuck that. He's just bad. He's a bad machine. He's a bad machine. Terrible. It's terrible. Anyway, that's a very lazy thing for me to say, but I said it because I'm feeling a little emotional right now. Here's a Chrome tab. Here's Laverne before Ozempic. This should be fun. She was a chubby lady. Did it skits out? What's going on with you, iCloud? Yoni. She was chubby. Where are these pictures? I think iCloud had a hiccup there, but it's okay. You get the picture. She was a chubby lady. She was like 15 pounds. And now she is no more. The Laverne. She was one of the greatest things I will ever have encountered in my life. One of the most beautiful, loving, wonderful friends and companions that anybody could have. And I appreciate it. I didn't even realize there's a shitload of super chats, so I'm just going to just say thank you to Rufus, Nathaniel, Andrew Olkowicz, Dean, and Bob F. and Tim Wright. I didn't even, wasn't about that today. It was just about getting together with the bastards and having a beautiful conversation about the great love of my life and how much she meant to us and to you. You guys all act, all wrote me like you knew her, and you did in a way. You guys all got to know her, and you saw the joy that she brought to our lives. You couldn't have asked for a nicer, she was the friendliest cat in the world. So she met everybody, she'd judge you and go, okay, that's good. And she'd rub up against you. And the next thing you know, you guys would be best friends. She was the greatest mate for when you had company over. She was very social. I've had cats that used to run and hide. I'll never forget when Murray was really frail, and this kind of broke my heart. And I'm so overprotective of my pets, and it can come off wrong, but this is something that I've kept in my soul for a while. And I remember Emmett and Dana were over, and their kids were very young. And then, kids are very curious about animals, and I think their son was just very curious about him, and I kind of overreacted, and I saw the alarm in a parent's eyes that just a kid was going after a cat. But I remembered thinking like, oh shit, I'm being irresponsible here. I should be more in tune with the same way I feel. Like I think I might have admonished the child a little bit and said, get away from the cat or whatever, because he was ill at that point and he was frail, and I always kind of felt bad about that. I did, because I was like, you make your choices, and at the time I made the wrong choice. I probably kind of yelled abruptly, and you don't yell at kids. It's a terrible thing to do. It was just protecting my young, protecting my own. And look who showed up. It's Carolyn Martin. Hello, Carolyn Martin. She's got a wrench for a reason. I'm so sorry for your loss. You did everything you could for Laverne. I did. We did. But it'll never be enough, Carolyn. Never be enough. James Bastian. It's so hard to live. I mean, Ray, I'm giving you a shout out because you know why. You know why we had an email discussion about it. Gary Brawley says, love and peace, Dirk. Sorry about Laverne. We lost ours after 18 years. Gary Janice Scotland. 18. Man, what I would have done for that extra 4 years. What I would have done. Robbed a bank. Become an assassin. Because people suck. Not you guys. People in general kind of suck. I have a song on the last Hitman record called Love, the Assassin, and it's about a regular dude who's just a paid assassin to take out like military and political people to try to stabilize countries. Yeah, it's this very socio-political of Dirk. But that's the metal world is kind of funny about that. And it's actually, I'm proud of the song a lot. It's a song that John brought into the band, and I loved it. And I said, let me write around that. And I like bad people, like, I'm not, this is a terrible discussion to have at the end of a tribute to a beautiful cat, but it's like, I'm not a big fan of letting people get away with shit, because people should know better. People should know better about their actions. That's why I always end the show with hold the door open, say please and thank you. It's so easy to be kind. It's so easy. And when somebody deserves it, you should have the right to go off on them and to put them in their place. You should have the right to do that, because you live your life in such a way with decorum, befitting a human being, but blah blah blah. That's another show, isn't it? Anyway, yeah. So I just want to say thank you, and wanted to come on here for Dirk Weekends to just tell you how much I thank you for all of your concern and all of your beautiful notes and cards and letters. I appreciate it so much. And don't forget, say please and thank you. Oh, hold the door open, say please and thank you. And never be a dick. Unless, of course, that person is a total.
Asher.